Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about steering upgrades for the Axial SCX6. This is, for my honcho, obviously, but same thing will apply to the Jeep version. They're pretty much the same as far as steering components go. And I am trying to do this on a little bit of a budget. I really don't want to spend $250, $300 on a servo, just because I think for the conditions I drive this truck in, I don't think it really warrants having that powerful a servo. Yes, more is always better when it comes to servos, honestly, but that price range is just, you can do a lot of other upgrades that I think would impact the performance more than just the servo for the conditions that I drive it in. I drive this as more of a trail rig. I do some light rock crawling with it. I do get it into, some kind of boulders, chunky rock situations where the servo does stall out at times, but it's something that I could actually avoid just by altering my driving lines and just making sure that the wheels don't get bound up between rocks. So it's not a huge deal to me to have the ultimate high-end power servo. Like I said, it's not really what I use this truck for. If I want to go out and do some really pure, really hardcore rock crawling, I'll take my Capra or another 10-scale crawler or my Rift crawler. This thing I use more of a trail truck, so I don't want to go overboard with the steering. I kind of want it to match the performance of the rest of the truck. So with that in mind, I've been looking for some more budget-friendly upgrades, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you guys two options for servos. One of them is a Power HD 80 kg servo, which I got off Amazon. I think it was like $68. And the other is the Spektrum SPMSS6510, which is a true 1/5 scale servo that's supposed to have a good amount more power. So we're going to try those two options. That one I got for, right now it's actually on sale on Amazon for like $82. It's usually $120. So I think both of those fall right in line with the level of performance I want to get from this truck. I have a really budget option for you guys too, which is keeping the stock servo but upgrading the power of the stock servo to an external BEC, so you could run it at 7.4 volts. You remove it from the underpowered stock ESC and you run it on its own power source, and it's a huge improvement. And that's like a $30 upgrade. You don't need to change anything else. You run the stock servo, stock horn. You should upgrade what I'm about to show you. But as far as the servo goes, you get really good performance that way, and it's only like a $30 upgrade to the power of that. And I was actually surprised at how well that worked just by itself. The component I want to talk about more than anything is right here. This other link back here, this one back here, is your panhard bar. And that essentially ties your axle to your chassis, and it keeps the entire axle from shifting left and right. So it's directly opposing the force that your servo is putting into your tie rod here. So the issue now is the stock mounts here. So where this panhard bar mounts is to your shock tower. The lower portion of your shock tower right here is your panhard mount. And on your C-hub, on the opposite side here, your C-hub is where the panhard bar mounts onto your axle. Now, stock, both of these are plastic, and there is a ton of flex. So even with the stock servo, if you bind up your wheels or hold your wheels, you can see that both of these just flexing a lot. And what that does is it really limits the angle of your steering. If your whole axle is shifting back and forth, you're not getting the steering performance you can. So if you just go ahead and upgrade your servo to an even more powerful servo, it's kind of worthless, because all you're really doing is losing that extra power in the flex of your panhard bar. Get the plastic off of here, because it's pointless in spending any other money until you do that first. That being said, let me show you guys my external BEC setup that I'm powering the servo with. And that's going to be, essentially, this will be your level 1 upgrade. Get rid of the stock panhards and go to a metal panhard on both sides. Okay, so here is Hobbywing UBEC. It's a 10 amp. And you can see you have this little jumper on here that you can move. So you could run it at 6 volts, 7.4, or 8.4 volts. And essentially how this works is it has its own power source, which I have. You can do this in a number of ways, but I have it wired into my stock ESC connector, and it comes down into this little JST plug, just so I have the option if I do ever need to change it or I want to remove it, I could just unplug it here. That provides, as soon as I plug in my battery, provides power to the external BEC. And I have a little switch, kind of hard to see, but I have my little switch mounted down here so I can turn it on and off. And then this is essentially feeding power directly to the servo. And then the servo is just getting a signal from the receiver. It's not drawing any power from the receiver. Okay, stock servo running off of the Hobby Wing UBEC at 7.4 volts. Stock servo 7.4 volts BEC on carpet for a little more resistance. Okay, so side test here. Stock servo 7.4 volts on the external BEC. I have a little piece of foam just supporting the side there, just so the wheel is kind of 90 degrees to the ground here. Getting full lock to the right, maybe not quite left, and it's definitely struggling a little bit to the left. Okay, stock servo powered directly from the receiver as it came out of the box. I believe it is 6 volts. Park it. Stock servo powered from the receiver. Side load test. Ooh, noticeably worse than with the BEC. Definitely not getting barely anything to the left. Not getting full lock to the right, and you could hear the ESC fan dying as it's struggling for power. Hey guys, so here is the Power HD 80 kg, and as you can see, it is pretty much identical in size. So, same mounting points. Here are the specs. We're looking at 8.4, yeah, 0.17 and 80 kg. So let's see how it works. Okay, so Power HD servo, powered directly from the receiver at 6 volts. Not very impressive. Okay, Power HD, 6 volts from the receiver. Side test. Ooh, not good. Honestly, not even as good as the stock one. Okay, Power HD servo, 7.4 volts from the Hobby Wing UBEC. Okay, Power HD, 7.4 volts. Ooh, not good. Wow, I'm surprised. Honestly, not even as strong as the stock servo. Okay, Power HD servo at 8.4 volts. Power HD, 8.4 volts, side test. So turning right, it's still not getting full travel. Turning left just doesn't want to do it. So, surprisingly, the stock servo at 7.4 volts actually has more power. Okay, so here's the size difference. This is the stock servo, the S905, and this is the larger, true fit scale servo. You can see a decent amount larger. It has the same spline, 15-tooth spline, so the stock horn fits on there directly. Oh, and another thing I will say, I recommend, I forgot this earlier, the stock one is plastic. If you upgrade to an aluminum one, you eliminate a lot of the flex that happens from the servo itself where it's mounted. So I'd highly recommend, along with upgrading your panhard mounts to metal, aluminum or brass, upgrade this thing to aluminum too. Okay, so Spektrum 6510 running on stock receiver power, 6 volts. Spektrum 6510, stock receiver power, 6 volts. Not very good. Spektrum 6510, 7.4 volts. Spektrum 6510, 7.4 volts. Struggling a little bit to the left. Right's not bad. Okay, Spektrum 6510, maxed out, 8.4 volts. Oh, that's actually pretty good. It's a little slow returning to center. 6510, 8.4 volts. Pretty good. Spektrum 6510, 8.4 volts. So it is getting, no, not quite. Not full lock to the left, full lock to the right. I got to go back and look at the stock servo and see if it was getting, I feel like it's odd. I feel like turning to the left, the stock servo at 7.4 actually got better. This direction, it is definitely stronger. Yeah, maybe it was about the same. That's the benefit of video. I can actually go back and compare them head to head. Stock servo, 7.4 volts on the external BEC. Getting full lock to the right, maybe not quite left, and it's definitely struggling a little bit to the left. Okay, so getting into the final thoughts on this, I will say I'm pretty happy with this Spektrum 6510. It's noticeably faster than stock, but I think for speed alone, and it's definitely, I don't think it's less power than the stock one. I think it's actually a little more, definitely turning to the right on the side test. So true test, of course, is out on the trail, and I think this is a keeper for now. Okay, guys, so after all that, the test results, I'm going to stick with the Spektrum 5th scale, which is the SPMSS6510, and I'll shoot a link down below. Honestly, so if you look at the specs listed on the Spektrum site, the S905, the stock servo, they label it as a 40 kg servo. The Power HD servo that I installed and tested is labeled as an 80 kg. Now, somebody is lying or really misrepresenting their test results, because I honestly feel like the stock Spektrum is more than 40 kg, just purely based off of other servos I bought and their rating. I feel like the stock one, it's either a true 40 or even a little bit more than 40 at 7.4 volts. So the Power HD running it at 7.4 volts, there's no way that, or 8.4, it doesn't put out, it was barely, I don't even think it was as powerful as the stock servo. So there's no possible way, unless maybe there's an off chance that I got a bum servo, right? But I don't even have it here anymore. Honestly, I returned it because I was that disappointed with it. So let's just go over quick results here. The best thing you can do to improve your steering performance, upgrade to metal, right? Metal shock towers, metal C-hubs, so you can get those pan hard mounts stiff enough where you're going to eliminate the flex and you're going to get full steering and use all the power you get from your servo. And then also the little adjustable bracket that is the one side, the back side of your servo mount. Upgrade that to aluminum. It eliminates the servo itself from flexing around. Next level up would be a huge upgrade, still relatively inexpensive after you upgrade all the mounting hardware and stuff. Get an external BEC. I know Castle makes a good one. You want something that's, you know, obviously the higher the amperage, the more power you're going to have. So this Hobby Wing one is actually really good, good quality, and I think it's the least expensive. You don't need anything special to program it like you do with some of the Castles. This one is a little jumper that you just move in 3 different positions, and it's good to go. So that would be my recommendation if you're just running this as a trail rig. do those things, and you're good to go with the stock servo. I don't really see a huge reason to upgrade it. I think it works really well like that. The next level up, I'd say obviously don't mess with the Power HD. I don't think it's worth it now. So I'll apologize in advance if I did get a bum one. I don't know. It seemed super smooth. It seemed to work perfectly fine. It just had very little power. I mean, way noticeably less power than the stock one. And you saw in those tests that it could barely, on the side test, it could barely turn the wheels just from the truck lying on the side. So really not impressed with that. And I've had good luck with Power HD servos in other rigs, and they were pretty good. So I really had high hopes for that one. Unfortunately, it just fell flat on its face. Just not worth buying at all. I would just pick up a stock one over that one any day of the week. The larger Spektrum one, I think is definitely an improvement. It's a noticeable improvement in power. Not a gigantic difference. I think it's kind of just what I was looking for, especially in that $80 price range. You know, $80 for this one on sale now. For $120, it becomes a little bit less desirable, I think, even though that's still not a bad price considering other servos you're going to pay $250 plus for. But you know, you're going to get a lot more performance if you pick up like a Shift or an NSDRC or like a Reefs. You're really going to get into some serious power then, but it's more than double the cost. So is it worth it? I mean, it's up to you. It really depends on how you drive the truck. You know, if you're just doing like a trail drive, and you're not binding up your wheels, if you don't find your servo stalling out and getting frustrated that you can't steer your truck, you probably don't need to do much in terms of steering upgrades right out of the box. I mean, it's pretty damn good out of the box. But if you do find yourself like just kind of getting in situations where you're trying to steer and it's not doing anything, you're going to want to start looking into upgrades. And like I said, start with the foundation. Do your panhard mounts, do your servo mount, and then go up from there. Get your BEC set up, because honestly, unless you go with a super high-end servo that is a direct power, you're going to need a BEC anyway. So that would be my first step. And then this other Spektrum 6510 is a nice solid performer. So I'm definitely going to get it out on the trail soon and just see how it performs. Hopefully it doesn't, you know, overheat and fade or anything. I doubt it. You know, again, I'm not doing any super hardcore crawling with this, but yeah, I think that's a pretty solid upgrade. Another thing, as a final note, guys, if you want to see, I am going to turn this stock S905 servo into a servo winch. And I'm going to order up a spool for it. I'm probably going to go with the NSDRC spool kit. And you do have to modify the board inside to give it full rotation. So I'll make a video on that. I'm going to try it out. Hopefully it works out. I'm going to power it from a small little separate ESC, and I'll control it with one of the knobs on my FlySky most likely, or the switch, the three-way switch. I don't know yet. We'll play around with that, but I have the bumper mount for it that mounts this servo in it directly. So stay tuned, guys. If you want to see that, subscribe. Give me a like if you like this video. If you want to see anything else, you know, similar, let me know. If you want to see servo upgrades on other vehicles, let me know. Also, I'm curious to know what you guys are running. If you're running the stock servo, if it's okay with you, or if you notice issues, like what have you done? Or have you done the super high-end servo, and was it worth it? Is it really that big of a difference? Let me know. Hit me up in the comments. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.